Hi everyone, I'm Nick Cruz, and before we get started with tonight's coverage, I wanted to give a very, very special shout out to everyone because don't forget, soccer unites us, but what is also something that unites us all as fans and beyond is breast cancer awareness. We know that AutoNation's been doing a fantastic job with their Drive Pink initiative, so as the month of October, which is the Cancer Awareness Month, I wanted to take a moment to say to all those who are watching, who are fighting the battle, who have overcome it, you're here. We're with you, we love you, and we want to encourage you to keep fighting, to never give up. And I also want to give a special shout out to my own aunt who's battling cancer as well. With that being said, soccer fans, let's go ahead and take a moment to thank everyone that has been helping those who have been battling cancer and congratulate all those who have succeeded in battling it as well. As the sun comes down, so does the final home game at Inter Miami CF as the opposing team Charlotte arrives in their bus as they get ready to get warmed up for tonight's match. It's been a long journey since we've come from the beginning, from the U.S. Open from now. And it's so crazy to think that when we first started our coverage back with Miami FC till now, things have changed. Of course, Messi has been bringing the MLS side a huge difference in the numbers in terms of the jersey sales, what it brings to the league. But now as this comes to a conclusion for their final home game for Inter Miami, this is just more than just a simple touch away. We'll have to see how these teams compete tonight, but moving forward, it's going to be something of magic for hopefully the next season. Let's go check in with some of the fans right now with Inter Miami as they take a couple of thoughts of how they thought of this think of the season and how do they feel about the season coming to an end. Hola familia, we're checking in with some Inter Miami fans before our final home game. You know, it's been an incredible run to see from beginning to end. It might not have ended the way we wanted, but we can definitely tell there's been a lot of changes coming in from the front office, bringing in, of course, Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba, and Lionel Messi. I'm joined with DeLuis and Dylan. We're going to ask them a couple questions about their thoughts, so we're starting off with you. So, seeing how things were, we were in the bottom of the table. We didn't come to where we wanted to be in terms of making it to the playoffs, but we did win some silverware as well. How is your thoughts about going into the next season?
My thoughts are it's either way, it's good that Messi came here because more superstars are going to come and play for us. The impact that he had immediately shows that, a couple more guys, we're going to be a pretty solid team.
We talk about the necessities of having a solid team. Way back in one of my videos, if you watch back, we talk about how they were making changes all the way back from the Miami FC game, when they were in the U.S. Open Cup, making a couple of those changes in the midfield, and now we have those big names, like you said, and I have to ask you, when we have these big players, we've seen the dynamics and the change of the MLS, but as fans, I can see we're the super fans out here, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what is your expectations for next season, knowing that we have Messi, Jordi Alba, and Sergio Busquets, and a lot of strong players are stepping up, like, Josef Martinez is getting himself going. We see Creamshe as well going as well. What are your expectations for next season?
I think the expectations are high for everybody. You got to look where we started at the beginning of the season. The expectations were low. When Messi came here, they were skyrocketed. So not only because we got Messi now we are adding all these players. It's growing the MLS, it's growing our team, and we have the best player in the world. So the expectations are as high as they're ever going to be.
The pressure, the expectations, as you both mentioned it, are very high. And, well, my fellow Familia members, you already know, with expectations and with pressure also makes diamonds. We've seen it in dividends of what Messi can do. Well, he's called the GOAT for a reason. Am I right, gentlemen? He's called the GOAT for a reason. Well, stick around. We're going to have more with the Inter Miami fans. So stick around, like, subscribe, and make sure you don't want to miss the end of this video as we have some special exclusive interviews and so much more. Guys, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Hola, familia. I'm joined back with some Inter Miami fans. I'm joined with Cliff. Joined alongside me is Brittany as well. Cliff, we'll start off with you. We've been talking about something that has been so crucial. How much has changed in terms of MLS with Messi joining? What has been your thoughts of seeing what has been when we're in the bottom of the table till now where we're seeing some changes?
It's been amazing. Being a fan, it's grown quite a bit, the sport itself. We were actually from Jacksonville. We followed Messi for a long time. We followed Jordi for a long time. But really, soccer has just exploded ever since the three of them, Busquets, Jordi, and Messi, have come to the league. And it's been awesome.
We talk about awesome things, Brittany, and just like Cliff said it, he's right. I see the huge, massive gain in followers even for Inter Miami that Messi joined. And let's be real, folks. He's a GOAT for a reason. He's been incredible. He's helped us get some of our first trophies here, our first silverware. But let's talk about next season. Brittany, what are your expectations for next season now that we get a little bit more cohesive? Messi settles in. What's your thoughts? What do you think is going to happen for our team next season?
I think it's really exciting to see what we're going to do because since Messi and all of them came, they didn't really have a whole lot of time to mesh together and play together. And so with the off season and getting to practice and get more gelled together, I think that we will be able to see them do a lot better and get better results next season.
Better results, but we've seen them already on the MLS side. We've seen it here in our following. We have been some of the great fans like yourselves here joining us. And let's talk about one other thing that I'm going to throw in here as well for the fans is the young players. We talk out a look about Creamshe, who's been absolutely killing it for Inter Miami. We have a lot of high hopes to see how he also blends in with that chemistry, as he said before. But until then, stick around, fans. We got more coverage, more Inter Miami exclusives you don't want to miss. I'm Nick, joined with Cliff and Brittany. Thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I just had to cool myself off with this fan just because of how hot the Messi effect has been here at Inter Miami CF. As we come to a conclusion of our final home game, we all know how important it is for Inter Miami to do about their branding, on the field marketing, and off the field marketing. But the one thing that has been contingent and sustained is what I mentioned. You remember this tie that I wore back in our first game that we covered with Miami FC versus Inter Miami in the US Open Cup game? Well, some of the things I said were true, and they came into fruition, and we've seen the explosiveness and change from the front office to the back office and the marketing of the difference with Inter Miami. But let's talk a little bit about what is going to be expected from next season. Well, of course, we already know with Messi being here, with Jordi Alba, Sergio Busquets, being huge factors to the team. They've added so much more depth. They've been adding a lot more experience, veteran presence. And of course, we've seen MLS absolutely explode in the background, and even the amount of followers has been in a massive change. So that's why I had to fan myself off, because these stats are just so hot. I had to cool myself down with the fan, because everyone right now has been a fan of Inter Miami, and rightfully so, with Messi being here as well. But let's step away from the Messi. Let's talk about tonight. Of course, with Charlotte FC, 12th in the league standings. This is more just of a game, kind of like a exhibition match if you really look at it. Unfortunately, Inter Miami has been eliminated for their chances of being in the playoffs, and Charlotte as well not really having an option to get through, especially if Inter Miami wins tonight. So there's going to be a little bit of heat there from Charlotte to try to get themselves ahead. But in the meantime, Inter Miami will do what they do best to give our home fans one last good show. We've seen what they've been able to do off the field. Now on the field, it's going to be the big key difference here tonight. Well, stick around. We've got more exclusive highlights, interviews, and so much more. We're going to be meeting with some of the fans and talking about all the great things that we've seen so far. And I want to also say thank you. That's right. Thank you to all the fans who have been watching me from the beginning. And we don't stop there. This is just like I said, the beginning. So stick around. We have more after this. We do want to confirm one thing, Messi will not be playing. However, he is here in the building. I know a lot of fans have been anticipating whether he'll show up tonight, but we can confirm he is in the building but will not be playing tonight. However, he has confirmed that he will be playing at the away game, the final match in the MLS against Charlotte FC at their home. But in the meantime, here at our home for Inter Miami, he is not on the field for tonight. But he is here chilling with the other players. He's going to be sitting bench side, but as we get prepared, it's almost that time for the game to begin. Till then, we're getting ready for the fans packing up here. We don't expect a huge crowd, but we definitely expect it to be a game where we see some magic, hopefully from Inter Miami one last time for the home fans. everyone, and welcome to the Halftime Intermission Report. I'm your host, Nick Cruz. You know, we've seen a lot of action that has really been explained in one word. Wow. Well, we definitely want to see both teams show some action late, and they did. Now, one of the key things I mentioned about this game was DeAndre Yedlin. Remember how I kept saying that the team was pressing in the high-end side and they were using him more on the wings? Well, I was right. The teams continue to play on the right-hand side as DeAndre Yedlin continues pushing on forward, and so they were finding themselves a little bit of a rhythm. However, Charlotte FC found themselves first with Copetti scoring the first goal, which was bounced off Drake Callender. We thought it was going to be off. It looked from off to the side enough from our end. But despite the acrobatic save, the ball went in the back of the net, and Charlotte FC looked like they were going to steal the first half. However, Stefanelli came in and said, "Hold my cleat," and he blasts one home and ties the game late at the 42nd minute mark here to tie the game between Inter Miami and Charlotte FC. Now, one of the key things I keep mentioning is that I've noticed that they keep pressing forward with Inter Miami. They seem to be playing very offensively in their high key marks. Looks like the defense is pushing in forward. Meanwhile, Charlotte FC having some issues in the back end, right? Notice I kept saying they kept playing to the wing during the broadcast. Well, it looks like more and more that Charlotte FC was finding themselves in a little bit of trouble and maybe a little too late understanding and noticing the tactics that Tata Martino was trying to play in for his team, which actually played in dividends so late into the game. Now, as we break into the first half, it's tied at 1-1. Where does the game go? Well, it can go in different facets. We mentioned how that penalty that was taken away from Charlotte FC add a little bit more energy for Inter Miami to come back and push forward. But now they've got to really make sure they tighten things up offensively to get it going. They can't be having mistakes like that where they're having opportunities, lanes that were open to shoot and not take it. We've seen that from Campagna twice. He broke through. One time it went to the right-hand side. Another that was a deadly one-on-one and completely whiffed it to the left-hand side. Meanwhile, Charlotte, if they want to get through and break into the forward-end side, well, they've got to be careful with that back end. They can't be letting Inter Miami dictate how their defense is pinching in deep forward. They've got to let themselves be a little bit more breathable and make themselves a little bit more open to find themselves in the back of the net if Charlotte wants to take the game. With that being said, we're going to hit up with some fans, so stick around as we interview some of my fellow fans, some friends, as we wrap up here in the Halftime Intermission Report. I'm your host, Nick Cruz. Stick around. So I'm joined with my good friend Jan. Jan, good to see you. You know, you've been part of the supporters section. You know, the question, the day-old question, right? They always ask. There's been so many changes that have come with Inter Miami CF, especially with, Messi joining, Jordi Alba, Sergio Busquets. I've asked some other fans, what do they expect for next season now that they got their players in? What do you expect for next season?
As a loyal supporter, I want some wins, but at the same time, I want unity throughout the team. I feel like just because we're bringing a whole bunch of new people in doesn't mean that it's going to change us, but it definitely needs to change our style of play. There's a lot of things we need to work on as a whole, as a unit, as a team, but for the most part, I think that we're going to be fine. I think that we're going to strive with these new players and we're going to get things going.
When we talk about getting things going, we've seen how the team was really trying to pinch onto the right-hand side. We saw DeAndre Yedlin hitting those flanks, the flanks, and really getting those balls pressed in deep. We saw that the team was pushing in really high. So you mentioned getting things going. Charlotte FC scored, but not to be stopped by, of course, Inter Miami at the late half there. What was your thoughts about getting that time goal at the last second?
No, it brings the momentum into the second half, and that's what we need. We just need to stay on the up and up on all the time, the whole time. And honestly, I really think that we're gonna take this one. Hopefully, we keep up the type of play and the way that we work, and I think that the result will be great.
The result would be great, but one thing we can say for certain that has been great, of course, with Inter Miami has been the supporters, the fans like yourself who've been following the team, showing the love, and the growth for this team has been exponentially high. They can only be up and up here for Inter Miami. Jan, thank you so much for joining me.
Always.
When we return, more interviews, highlights coming up soon. You don't want to miss it, so make sure you're sticking around.
En la entrevista que él va a jugar el próximo partido, el último partido. Si puedes hablar de eso tú. ¿Tú crees que él va a jugar?
Bueno,
entonces el sábado?
escuché la entrevista, estoy al tanto de lo que dijo. Hoy alcancé a saludarlo antes del partido, pero no hablamos en profundidad. Mañana seguramente hablaré con él, pero lo más importante acá es los 90 minutos que jugó el partido de eliminatoria, que se sintió bien, que no estuvo confiado y no preocupado por el tema de la lesión, que a veces la cabeza juega un rol importante. Y mañana evaluaremos para ver si está listo también para jugar el sábado en el entrenamiento. Él llegó esta madrugada, esta mañana acá. En el caso del partido, sí, para mí lo más importante, primero es que el equipo tuvo actitud para jugar un partido que para nosotros, para un equipo que no tiene pretensiones, es incómodo, y sobre todo con un rival que sí tiene muchas pretensiones, y yo creo que lo disputamos bien. Y el segundo punto importante para mí es la vuelta de Gregory. Creo que eso es una muy buena noticia, porque además lo hizo bien, jugó una hora con mucha intensidad, se acomodó bien al costado de Busquets. Para nosotros de cara al año que viene es una muy buena noticia. Por supuesto que estamos conformes con el rendimiento de Nico, de Robbie cuando entró, pero creo que la mejor noticia es que Gregory está de vuelta.
Tata, muy buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Luca Codazo. Bueno, terminó la fecha de eliminatorias. También lo vimos, por ejemplo, a Cristiano Ronaldo llegando a 40 goles, Messi jugando en un gran nivel. ¿Cómo ves el tema Messi de cara a la temporada 2024 en cuanto a la longevidad de un jugador de esta talla, y cómo lo ves a él de cara a la próxima temporada? Ya con descanso, más tranquilo, ¿no?
Bueno, obviamente que nosotros tenemos una temporada que viene con 4 competencias, y tenemos que preparar bien esas 4 competencias, saber la importancia que tienen los primeros partidos de liga cuando solamente hay Conca Champions o 2 fechas de Conca Champions. Es decir, mucho de lo que a nosotros nos está pasando ahora tiene que ver con lo que no pasó en el primer semestre. Entonces yo creo que hay que aprovechar los momentos que te brindan la liga para estar preparado y poder soportar los inconvenientes que genera, por ejemplo, tener que una fecha FIFA y a continuación una Copa América, y en ese momento que haya una cantidad de partidos que haga que nosotros juguemos sin esos futbolistas que seguramente estarán convocados. Y ahí es donde debemos analizar bien la situación de Leo para llevarlo bien, para que él cumpla con todos sus objetivos, para que tenga una buena forma en Inter de Miami, para que tenga una buena forma en su selección.
Javier Rodríguez de Fan Network TV. Tiene usted ahora por delante 3 meses para recuperar jugadores, preparar el plan del 2024, hacer pretemporada, reforzar el equipo y empieza en condiciones iguales, diferentes a las que asumió el equipo. ¿Cuáles son los objetivos que usted tiene para el 2024, al menos en los 3 eventos principales en los que va a participar Inter Miami?
Bueno, la realidad es que a mí me gustaría que suceda lo mismo que este año, con la salvedad de que la gira es ahora dentro de una semana, 10 días, es a fin de mes. Creo que estaríamos viajando los primeros días de noviembre. Lo de Luis, como dije ayer, yo todavía no tengo ninguna certeza. Lo que sí imaginamos diferentes escenarios, si él viene y si él no viene, pero presumo que también él necesita terminar el Brasileirao, que es un torneo muy competitivo y muy desgastante, al cual todavía le faltan alrededor de 10 fechas. Y respecto al amistoso con Juve, me preguntas, bueno, también forma parte de nuestra preparación, es decir, para mí particularmente es muy lindo poder jugar un amistoso con mi equipo, pero forma parte de lo que tenemos pensado para el próximo año, ¿no? Para llegar de buena forma.
Vamos atrás a la derecha.
Hola, Tata.
¿Cómo estás?
Sí, I'm trying. How much can a player help himself by playing well tonight, by playing well Saturday? How much can that carry over to 2024? If he shows you whatever he can show you in these last couple of matches, how much will that help a player going into next year?
¿Cuánto puede ayudarse a sí mismo un jugador desempeñándose bien hoy, el próximo partido, mostrándose en estos dos últimos partidos de cara al 2024?
Yo creo que mucho, sí, que mucho. Lo que sucede también es que la liga y las reglas de la liga a veces no permiten que un jugador, que aunque tenga buen rendimiento, uno lo pueda sostener en el equipo. A ver si se entiende lo que quiero decir. Muchas veces uno quiere sostener a un jugador en detrimento de pensar, bueno, a lo mejor no traigo a otro jugador. Pero si la necesidad más importante es traer al que no está en el club, al que tiene que venir de afuera, a veces se da que por una cuestión de presupuesto me tengo que desprender del que está en el club y al que quiero sostener. Es una cuestión de necesidades, de disputa, de saber qué es lo más importante, porque las reglas que tiene la liga no permiten tener todo lo que uno quisiera tener. De todas maneras, contestando su pregunta, sí creo que son partidos. Cuando creo que en la conferencia pasada yo les dije, son partidos importantes, son partidos donde sacamos conclusiones individuales. A la pregunta que usted hace es a lo que me refiero cuando digo sacamos conclusiones importantes. Cada uno de los futbolistas, sobre cada uno de los futbolistas se sacan conclusiones importantes.
Buenas noches, Jan Tellez, del Diario de Barcelona. En próximas fechas FIFA en que coincidan partidos de Argentina y también partidos de Inter de Miami, ¿habéis hablado con Leo para si va a priorizar siempre Argentina, va a priorizar algunas veces Inter Miami, o cuál es la situación? Gracias.
Yo, como dije también el día jueves, yo soy un entrenador pro selección. Para cualquier jugador, obviamente estamos hablando de la selección argentina, pero para cualquier selección. Con lo cual, hay un reglamento que dice que si un jugador es citado por su selección, tiene que ir a la convocatoria. Y tratándose de Leo, y tratándose de la selección argentina y todo lo que significa la selección argentina para él, yo no sé cuánto tiempo más él va a jugar en la selección argentina. Yo a veces tengo la sensación de que cada partido es casi una despedida. Si después la despedida se da en el próximo Mundial, ojalá sea así, será una cuestión que debe resolver él. Pero nunca le diría ni a Leo ni a ningún jugador que tiene que quedarse aquí y no tiene que ir a la selección. En todo caso, deberemos pelear por otro camino, deberíamos pelear por el camino que la liga se ajuste a lo que se ajusta el mundo cuando hay una fecha FIFA. Que no se juegue el torneo y que los jugadores puedan ir a su selección. No es el camino que cada entrenador le pida a un jugador determinado que ahora priorice el equipo y que después, porque nosotros no estamos para poner a los jugadores en lugares incómodos. Imagínese, estamos hablando de Messi, imagínese si yo esto se lo diría a Kremaski. ¿Kremaski qué hace? Va a ir a hablar con Grega, a decirle no, déjame jugar, y estamos hablando de la selección de Estados Unidos. A un chico de 18 años no se lo diría, entonces no lo haría con ningún futbolista.
Buenas noches, Tata.
Sí.
Carlos Álvarez para Teis Sport Internacional, el Club Miami. A falta de una fecha, ¿no? Hoy se cerró de local, digamos, la temporada. ¿Cuál sería su balance general, digamos, de esta primera temporada en el Inter Miami?
Bueno, a ver, esto yo lo he dicho. Hay un cambio de entrenadora en la mitad de la temporada, pasada la mitad de la temporada. Ahí está la llegada de 6 futbolistas nuevos en diferentes momentos, pero posterior a la llegada del nuevo cuerpo técnico. A partir de ahí había un torneo que se estaba jugando y que debíamos hacer grandes partidos en los siguientes 4 meses para poder clasificar. Y había 2 torneos que dependían de nosotros, uno que se estaba por empezar y el otro en el cual teníamos que jugar la semifinal. Bueno, de esos torneos que dependían casi exclusivamente de nosotros, uno lo ganamos y el otro perdimos la final. Y al final del año, sobre 3 torneos posibles, habrán 3 ganadores, uno de los cuales es Inter de Miami, ¿sí? Y se ha ganado el primer título para la institución, que no es un tema menor. Entonces, la verdad, claro, como esto pareciera que quedó demasiado lejos, pero nada más han pasado, no sé si llegamos a los 4 meses, claro, hoy lo que está sucediendo con el equipo, ya fuera de tener posibilidades de jugar playoff, parece poca cosa. Yo no me olvido, ni los jugadores tampoco, que hemos ganado un título. ¿Que podíamos haberlo hecho mejor? Sí. La realidad es que la mayoría de nosotros, y la mayoría de ustedes, y la mayoría de la gente, lo que pensaba era cómo nos íbamos a preparar para el año que viene. Y en eso que pensamos todos en común, por más que ahora haya alguno que diga lo contrario, nosotros ganamos un torneo. Y no es un tema menor. Yo por lo pronto no me lo olvido.
Gracias. Tata, buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Camilo Plazas de Norteamérica y City TV de Colombia. Primero queremos darle las gracias, aquí en nombre de muchos periodistas, estamos acá por haber vuelto a hacernos soñar a todos los hinchas, a los periodistas, que más de 3 años, se ganó un torneo este año, bueno, no se clasificó, pero se tiene un buen equipo y sabemos que el 2024 va a ser mucho mejor que este año. Solo quería decirle eso, gracias por ponernos a soñar, porque tenemos trabajo también en la medida en que el equipo rinda y esperamos lo mejor para el próximo año como equipo y con todo lo que ustedes vienen haciendo.
Yo le agradezco y lo que quiero decir es que lo que se está gestando en Inter de Miami, lo que se empezó a gestar con la llegada de los futbolistas que han venido, a nosotros nos exige mucho más. Es decir, en cualquier otra institución de la MLS probablemente no tenga ni la mitad de la exigencia que va a tener Inter de Miami. El solo hecho de contar con Messi, con Busquets y con Jordi Alba, independientemente de otros jugadores que puedan venir, ya nos ponen en el ojo del mundo y por consiguiente la gente dice, bueno, están estos, bueno, esto significa títulos, como si no se tratara de competir y de jugar con equipos que también lo hacen muy bien. Pero obviamente que nosotros nos sentimos mucho más comprometidos, mucho más exigidos para lograr, porque claro, yo tengo las herramientas que el técnico anterior no tenía, indudablemente no tenía, entonces yo tengo que dar respuestas mejores. No me olvido del título, en alguna parte las respuestas se empezaron a dar, de tener un equipo competitivo, lo tenemos. Hay mucho camino por recorrer, sí, pero tengo la tranquilidad con mi cuerpo técnico de que hay un trabajo que se está haciendo para darnos todas las herramientas para que nosotros podamos seguir compitiendo de la manera que lo hemos hecho.
Última pregunta.
Hola Tata, ¿qué tal? Soy Roberto Vázquez de Wintrar, Buenos Aires. Yo te vi en muchos equipos plantear una estrategia 4-4-2, la selección argentina, en Libertad de Paraguay. Hoy el equipo, por lo que vi, salió 4-3-3, había mucho recambio de jugadores, o sea, es difícil cambiar una táctica con tantos cambios de jugadores. Si tuvieras todos los jugadores que vos pudieras disponer para la próxima temporada, los que vos quisieras, para la Liga Americana, ¿preferís jugar con 4-4-2 o 4-3-3?
Es una respuesta que te la tengo que dar con plantel definido.
Pero si vos tendrías que elegir...
No, pero es que no va a pasar solamente por mi elección. Sí. Es decir, yo necesito saber, dentro del diagrama del año próximo, también está, si llegamos a tener esto podemos jugar así, si no tenemos esto y tenemos esto podemos jugar así, si no tenemos esto y tenemos esto podemos jugar así. Es decir, lo que nosotros estamos pensando está referido a distintos escenarios. Y entonces si yo te dijese hoy que puedo jugar como jugábamos en Newell, te estaría mintiendo. Entonces yo necesito saber con qué contaremos el año próximo para definir la estrategia de juego. Que a lo mejor no es una sola y también está referido a los jugadores que tengamos y en los diferentes momentos que va a tener el año que viene.
¿Cómo te sentís más cómodo vos, si tuvieras los jugadores?
No, bueno, a mí me gusta jugar 4-3-3, pero también yo tengo que tratar de encontrar la mejor táctica para que el equipo sea más confiable. Y lo que se está planteando y de lo que estamos hablando nos ponen en escenarios totalmente diferentes y que probablemente se aleje más de lo que se acerque a mis gustos personales.
Gracias.
Gracias. Thank you, everyone.
Dale, gracias, igualmente.
As we come to a close here with Inter Miami CF, it's been quite a journey with all of you guys, and I want to say a huge thank you to all the followers and supporters, and especially FAU for giving us the opportunity to be here tonight. One of the key things I mentioned about tonight, how they come to this conclusion of a draw of 2-2 between Charlotte FC. Well, I mentioned it. DeAndre Yella was playing to the flanks. He kept pressing forward. And of course, it was paying off in dividends, along with Charlotte FC being able to find themselves getting back into the game. But it all came down to really pressing up on the field. And so that way we come to this conclusion of 2-2. First off, it was a first late goal coming back in early. And either side, the way that you look at it, the key question I've been asking fans tonight, what is their thoughts for next season? You know, we had a great run. We had some, of course, great additions, obviously, with Jordi Alba, Sergio Busquets, and Lionel Messi. But where do things go from here? Did we add? Did we subtract? Did we move players around? Because we have some fantastic players that didn't play tonight. One of those players I like to mention is Creamshe as well, who was not playing tonight. But ultimately, if there's a big win that we can all agree on is for MLS, because signing Lionel Messi has really changed and grown the game for soccer around the country. We've been seeing more fans that have been paying attention to it. Like I mentioned during the broadcast earlier, for me, it's like having one Wayne Gretzky when he moved from the Edmonton Oilers to LA Kings to kind of build that dynasty and change the NHL forever. To me, it's like seeing the same thing over again when you bring in one of the greatest players of all time here to the stateside to grow the game. And we're definitely seeing that pay off in dividends. What's going to happen for us next season? Well, here's the answer. Make sure you like and subscribe. That's the best way to know what's coming up next for the next season as we continue to follow more teams and sports. Again, we thank all of you. I'm your host, Nick Cruz, and I will see you next season.